to Digital for Everyone, a weekly live stream designed to help you demystify the digital world. As always, I'm your host, Robert Gannes, and this week we have with us Akil O'Connor. He's going to tell us, he's an esports consultant and commentator, and he's going to tell us about the world of esports. It's going to be a very interesting talk. I'm very excited to have him here. And myself as a gamer, I'm very excited to actually bring this out to the world because, gaming is something I see is underutilized by a lot of brands. And we have Floyd joining in. Welcome, Skolithos, CKA Sayers, Nikki Milk. Bringing in Akil, Mr. Floyd Banks. So Akil is going to join us in a second. Welcome, A Fiends. All right, Akil.
Hi.
Welcome. All right. You can hear me okay?
Yes, I'm hearing you just fine.
Perfect. So while people are joining in, I'm just going to introduce you and give you the sort of guest treatment. Again, guys, I'm your host, Robert Gannes. This is Akil O'Connor. He's an esports consultant and commentator. Akil has a bachelor's degree in business management from UE. He's been part of the esports community for more than a decade and has helped to organize more than 20 esports events. He's currently one of the co-owners of Paradigm Electronic Gaming that provides business consultancy services in areas such as brand awareness and positioning, business sales and strategy, website and internet marketing, optimizing, and esports events. So that was a mouthful. As I told you before, esports, I'm a gamer. I've been in parts of the esports, I guess, fraternity, the group, for more than a decade. I first started playing on normal Nintendo, and we're still playing today. And what I found, and what I was actually glad that you agreed to come on, was that esports is criminally underappreciated from a brand and marketing perspective because there's so much opportunity. So I guess I'll shut up now. So talk to me, for those who don't know and for those who just now joining in, what is esports? Tell us about that.
Okay, so I will try my best to keep it as simple as possible. But
Sure.
I'm just saying, we're going deep in the rabbit hole with this.
All right.
Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
What esports is? Esports is competitive video game playing.
All right.
However, so there's a difference between casual gamers and competitive gamers.
Okay.
So when we're looking at someone who's a competitive gamer, usually when we are define in esports terms, that means you enter tournaments, online events, and these things.
Mm-hmm.
However, over the last couple of months, even years, we've lightened the definition. So really, an esports athlete could be considered a hardcore gamer. No, I don't want to scare with the phrase hardcore. What a hardcore gamer really is if you play if you average over 20 to 25 hours in a month, you are considered a hardcore gamer. So that means on average, every day you're playing 3 to 5 hours. Yeah,
Okay.
so that means, way more than an hour. If you're playing 3 to 5 hours every day, you are above the threshold of a regular gamer. You actually fall into the above 15% because that means you understand the game, you know the skills, you know the back end, you might know frame, the scope shooting, all these craziness and stuff like that. So you are in the top 15%. So you will be once you play games for a long period of time, you would be considered an esports gamer. And last thing I just want to chuck in, esports is not only just just people. Esports is an industry, and a lot of people, especially in Trinidad, they lose that important part. Okay.
How so? Go into a little bit about what, talk about the industry of esports.
All right. So just I'll go on rapid fire really quickly. Then I'll go into an example to try, like I said, try to keep it simple as possible. So in an industry has different moving parts that make it flow. So in esports, there are a lot of job titles. You could be a coach, you could be a journalist, you could be a marketing specialist, a referee, you could be a team owner, you could even be a social media manager, you could be event managers for esports events, you could be an agent for a team, you could be a sponsor, you could be a streamer, and you could be a player. Now, I'm not just sure who, just trying to get people to understand how big it is, but we're just trying to put it into free.
I'm just saying, it's a it's an industry. It's not just, you know,
Yes.
what we call a group of people who play games.
So let me give you a colorful example to try and paint in
Sure.
perspective. So for example, in typical esports industry, let's just say we have the Marvel gamers. The Marvel gamers are the team. So for in every what is a sport or esport, you must have team.
When you come back in,
Plays football, and
that's
they
right.
play in the Pro Cup. So we see a parallel immediately between esports and regular sports. But the difference between esports and regular sports is Jablote might play on TV6 or even Flow Sports. But esports, they have a different platform. They're on Twitch, they're on YouTube Gaming, they're on Facebook, the Facebook Live, and well, they used to be on Mixer. Mixer don't exist. So they are on a different platform. And similar to regular sports, they go to different fans. So the esports fan base is not the same as the regular sports fan base. And just like sports, esports also has brands and advertisements. Red Bull and Monster are some of the biggest brands. And some people don't even know that Mercedes is part of that. Coca-Cola is part of that. Intel is part of that. So there's a lot of heavy hitters involved in the branding of tech. And of course, esports even has investors. So there's a lot to unpack with esports.
Okay. I think everybody, that was a lot. So let's take a moment, let that sink in, that, you know, esports covers the entire industry that is gaming. That is the people who produce the games, the people who play the games, and then all of the other people who stream. Streaming is very much, we can get into it more, but it's basically you watching somebody else play a game. And we'll get that question in a second, but basically there's tons of aspects of how your brand, and just to relate it to what we're talking about, as a brand, and you're looking at esports and stuff like that, let's I guess talk to me a little bit about how long it's existed in a formal structure in Trinidad.
Now, people, like I said, a lot of people are not aware of the rich culture of esports. Esports has been in Trinidad and Tobago for over 15 years. People don't know that. So since as early as 2005, even before that, there has been events, there have been tournaments, there have been teams, there have been prizes, people going out the country to represent Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, in the last decade, we've had people represented Trinidad and Tobago as Team Trinidad and Tobago. They competed in Barbados, competed in Guadeloupe. Some people even went to Germany. They went. I think the biggest accomplishment, in my opinion, was when we sent a player to represent us in the Olympics. So that was back in 2016. Alongside the big Olympics, there was a trial for the Olympics in Smash Brothers, and we sent a player to the Olympics. Yeah, and only 8 countries were invited. And Trinidad was among the 8 countries that were in trials for the Olympics. I think that was one of the biggest achievements we ever did in terms of the world scale.
Definitely very impressive. So A-Fiends has a question. Do you have female gamers in esports?
That is a very interesting question. I want to keep, like I said, I want to keep it simple.
Yeah.
We only have 30 minutes, but the short version is yes, we do. But usually we will get the female demographic in the younger generation. Now, I don't know if you all know about boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z, millennials, and so on. If you were born before 1995, you're a millennial. If you were born after 95, you are Generation Z. So usually that means you're 20 or younger. And we're getting a lot of females in Generation Z.
Interesting.
So millennials, not really. But in the younger generation, yes, there are a ton of female gamers.
So I mean, for just to twist it back to a brand perspective, guys, what that means is if your brand is looking for, it's a young female audience, I think when Akil and I were discussing it, I came up with the phrase that, gaming is your client's third screen, right? Your customer's third screen. You have ads on Facebook, sure, they're on social media, You have ads on Google. So after they finish scrolling through the websites and going on Facebook, people go to games to disconnect. And there's a lot of, obviously not a lot of games have ads in them, but some do. Some casual gamers who play things like Candy Crush, you guys know it, where you have to look at an ad to receive. So there's a huge opportunity that's really missed out by not investing or being part of it. So just before we go on, 8 Fiends was saying, how come we don't hear anything about esports in the news? Well, let's not.
All right. Now, that's a quite interesting question because the esports has been on the news, contrary to popular belief. Now, it's not in the news in the mainstream because, for example, when Pokemon Go came out, that was in the news. There were several FIFA tournaments that were in the news. I even held a Paradigm, my company, actually held an event in VAS, and we got news coverage. Smash Brothers has been in the news. Now, even though it's mentioned, it's not the highlight because, there's sports segments every day.
Right.
But even in the sports segments, I think it was over in 3 times in 2020, esports was on the sports segment. So I agree, it should be on the news more mainstream, but it's in the minority rather than majority.
Okay. So as we're talking about, as you said, we did events, right? I think a lot of brands and brand owners still look at, okay, to get involved in esports, I need to sponsor an event. What other opportunities do you see just right now? I mean, without going too extreme, what other opportunities do you see for people, for brands to really leverage? I know, okay, maybe I want to get women under 20, and you're now telling me that a lot of them are playing games now. What do I do as a brand owner? What do I do to leverage that?
All right, so the first thing as a brand owner, well, first I would hope is you have some kind of marketing management to guide your brand because you have to know where your audience is. As I would have alluded to several minutes ago, there are two main demographics. We're looking at the millennials, which is in 90 to 35-year-olds to 40-year-olds, and we have the 18 and 20 and under.
Right.
Correct. So you have to be aware, and different games have different audiences. So, for example, if you're looking at a fighting game, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, that's usually towards millennials. But if you're looking at something like Candy Crush or Candy Crush and these things, those are the under 18. But something like Fortnite is cross-generational. Fortnite covers both generations. So that's the first thing as a brand you have to be aware of. Who are you trying to target? So once you establish them, all right, let me assume they get out of the way. The next step as a brand is you need to get involved. In the past, a lot of companies try to get involved by throwing money. Just because you throw $1,000 or $5,000 at events doesn't mean it succeeds. The reality is esports in Trinidad, even in the world in a lot of areas, are developing. Now, when people hear something is a developing community or developing sports or whatever it is, people get scared. People get scared because developing means you start from ground zero. But that's not the case in Trinidad. Esports is not ground zero. Esports is actually halfway there. We have players, we have teams, we have active communities in multiple games. We have people that are playing at the world level in Fortnite, Counter-Strike, fighting games, all these things. We have top level players. So we have a structure already. In terms of events are run on shoestring budgets. I'm talking about somebody that's $200 and they are running a $2,000 event and all these kind of stuff like that. I'm not going into the details. It's
that's fine. Don't get people excited because then they're gonna call you and just be like, yeah, I have $200. I want an event.
That was before. Now it's a little real. But yes, people on shoestring budgets are running events. Most event organizers run at a loss because you might want to have entertainers, you want to have food and door price and these things. So the thing is, even before sponsorship, events have been going on. Even before sponsorship, the gamers are growing and these things. So when you come in as a brand, you have to understand that we aren't at 100 yet. We're at 50. And with your investment over time, and I would say it's a shorter ROI. So I can say in 1 year or 2 years, if you constantly support the events, you will see brand association and you will hit a new demographic that your business didn't even know existed.
Okay, that's important. That's definitely very interesting. So we have, I mean, I think one point that I'd love to point out, guys, is that esports can happen at home. COVID has hit. We're not allowed more than 5 people. You can have Fortnite plays with 100 people in a game, at any one time, if I'm not mistaken, or is it 99, something like that. But there's real opportunity there. And another thing that I want to point out is that facilitating an experience is in itself a form of sponsorship. It's not just as Carly was saying, you can't just put up banners, throw money, and market yourself and walk away. I know that there's something happened in Fortnite really recently that was very, very interesting. Can you tell us about that? I think it's Travis Scott.
Yes, I believe you alluded to the Travis Scotts. Now, right. Fortnite is, I am not even joking, Fortnite is a marketing giant. It is a lightning in a bottle, but it's lightning in a bottle that's not going away, which I find is really interesting about Fortnite. Fortnite is actually here to stay, because even before Travis Scott, where Travis Scott held, there was a live concert. Right. That is crazy. Even before that, did you know Thanos was in Fortnite? So that was a big promotion for Fortnite. You can play, you get your Infinity Gauntlet, you play as Thanos. So that was actually promotion for Endgame. Did you know, even in the last Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker, there was a message from Emperor Palpatine in Fortnite that linked to the actual movie. So if you didn't play Fortnite, people would have missed that Easter egg. So and it's crazy that the amount of things that Fortnite could do and the reach it has, it is amazing.
Okay. I mean, so obviously, a lot of the brands looking on right now are not, Disney level and Travis Scott level marketing, but what I think it introduces is that it's not just here's money, play the game and stuff like that. It's facilitate an interesting experience. Sometimes, it might just be good enough to say, hey, you know what, we're going to give you credit towards playing the game. Sometimes games have a month, like Xbox Game Pass and stuff like that. Being able to facilitate an experience is valuable in itself. We had a question here from Nikki Milk. She says, does TNT have any esport players that are making a full-time living from the craft? And if not, is this a goal for the industry?
As of right now, to my knowledge, no. I don't think there are any people who are full-time esports, as in they with a sponsored team and they gain a monthly salary. To my knowledge, no, that is not happening. But there are a lot of people who are doing esports in their part-time, because at the end of the day, your education is important. There are lots of esports players who have made degrees. There are lots of people who own their own businesses and they are top-level players. And talking about the places for tournaments, online tournaments. So yes, that is the end goal. Of course, the end goal is we want a sponsorship, or you would like to be picked up by a big team, but unfortunately, that's not the reality right now, to my knowledge.
Okay. I see Value Optical has joined, and actually, I think this is a very interesting time that they have joined, so I want to take a moment to single them out, but not in a bad way. So, for example, you wouldn't think glasses and gaming go together, but everybody that plays games stares at a screen for hours on end. And, I've had to go and get my eyes tested and they tell me get these blue light filters and stuff like that. There's opportunity there. I know that, as I said, there's so much around gaming and being involved that it's just, as I said, it's criminally underrated for people to just think, oh, well, we're going to spend all our money on Facebook and Google and just leave out a whole section of the population for, as you said, people play games 2-3 hours a day. That's tons of time where you could be facilitating or being part of that experience with them. So Kareem was asking something. Sorry. Nikki said, thanks. Hopes to see this happening in the near future. Yeah, me too. And Kareem was asking, well, why should a company invest in esports? The fair question. You want to take that?
I want to answer two different questions there. One what Kareem said, and something he was alluded to, Value Optical. I am so glad you singled them out in a good way, not a bad way, not a bad way. Now, you were saying something very important there. Let me deal with value optical first.
Sure.
You were saying something very important. You were saying that these people spend so much money on sponsored ads, you would on Instagram, on Facebook, and these things, but it's not at a targeted audience. That's just a general audience. Yes, with the algorithm, they will try to target your demographic. But remember, when you deal with sponsorship, you know I am hitting this target, and especially when your brand relates to what you've been sponsoring, it's even better. Let me just use a real drastic example. Let's say Ashley's Furniture wanted to sponsor esports events. That doesn't make sense. What does Ashley's Furniture have to do with esports? But if, let's just say, Ashley's Furniture sponsors a 10,000 Street Fighter tournament, they will get recognition. But with Value Optical, you pointed it out. Value Optical is prime for the esports industry in that, let's face it, gamers wear glasses. The filters, people think it's a joke. The filter glasses are a real thing. We make fun of, there's a guy who bought the orange filter, we call him Tony Starks from Iron Man, because he had those glasses. But that's a real thing, and that's a real avenue. So even if they might want to promote diagnostic testing, they might want to promote a special type of gamer glasses or discounts on gamers. Those are options because it relates to your brand. And that is an excellent opportunity for them. But again, as I reiterate, you have to understand it's not a instant a return on investment. That's not the case. It have to be, I would say, long term, as in 1 to 3 years. And they have to be prepared to weather the storm. But in the end, the gamers will remember. It sticks out in their mind. That's a great opportunity for them.
I found that gamers are some of the most, in terms of like, they're very passionate about the things that they like. Gaming reviews and stuff like that. Like, they're an active audience. Sorry for singling you out so much, Value Optical.
No, but they were great. I'm glad they joined in. You know what's interesting also about what you just said? That you know the average gamer, if they buy a product, they will support a product for a minimum of 4 years. The studies have shown that. It's true. There's a lot of loyalty, brand loyalty.
Okay, we're getting some comments that saying that Ashley Furniture could advertise TV stands and comfy chairs, and I was going to say that too.
Guys, Ashley Furniture doesn't provide gamer chairs. That's not what they do.
No,
but classic furniture.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you sit on your couch and you're playing Switch or anything like that, you want a comfy couch. Back to Kareem's question.
What was Kareem's question? If I wanted to answer that was a good question.
Why should a company invest in esports?
Well, one thing I would tell you is that, one thing I would say that esports is an untapped resource, because you have to understand, if your brand, let me say something like Palms Doubles. If Palms Doubles sponsors like esports events, sports might get blown away because remember, especially with Generation Z is under 18. No, I don't want to talk to anybody, but remember, that's young, impressionable minds. That is who you want to.
Right.
So again, as I said before, as a company, you have to understand the culture, the esports culture. It is not traditional sports. But if you understand the culture and you understand who you're targeting, then definitely it will be a great investment to you, because it is a very good advertising opportunity. For example, silly example, who sponsored TKR?
I'm an esports. I did not watch any CPL match.
You didn't watch any? Like, none. Even one. If you watch one, what ad did you see?
I watched none this round. I was so busy with work. I'm sorry, guys.
It's not true.
Sorry.
Omega Excel sponsored TKR. They ran that ad like 3 times an hour. It was all on the chest, everything.
Okay.
So like just similar to TKR, when you sponsor a gaming team, you have the chance for the team to wear logos. It might be on the equipment. When they stream, they will use the product on your stream and these things. So it is a big opportunity for brands to get involved and get recognition for themselves.
Okay. Do you have any? Sorry, let me just go through. I'm gonna ask you for some stats, but while you come up with that, I'm just gonna go through the questions. Chunky Wonky saying, anti-reflective saves lives. Yeah, Otis Cornwall is saying man cave setup. I think we're still talking about the Ashley Furniture Store. Comes up watching is saying gamers are loyal. Gamers are loyal when they see a brand that has a relevant fit with gaming or gaming culture. They'll remember that brand, and the brand recall will be strong. And yeah, everybody else is sounding off about the brands that I apparently didn't know. I feel like a bad Trinbagonian right now. So let's have some stats. Like, what is the? I've seen things on the internet. Like, you know, your average gamer is actually over 30 years old. You know, so that person has disposable income. You know, they're not just, you know, kids asking for Nintendo games for Christmas. It's a ton of you know, money available there. So do you have any stats about like local industry or anything like
that? That in itself is a mixed bag, because it's split between the 20 and under and the over 20. The older gamers and the younger gamers. You know, it's really funny. The older gamers aren't into streaming and these things. The older gamers, they will come out and participate. They will be the ones that come to offline tournaments. The younger gamers, they are the ones who make the YouTube videos. It was really interesting. In getting ready for this event, I stumbled across a young streamer who had, I think it was 14,000 followers. And on average, he gets 5,000 views.
Wow.
And this boy is like 15. And he like talks about Fortnite and these things. And that just goes to show, it feeds into the narrative that the Generation Z, they are the ones more geared at the online content. And compared to the older gamers, they are the one who will come to the offline content. So once again, you have to try to understand that there is a little disparity in terms of who you're aiming to. But once you understand who you're aiming to, you will grip that audience. So, but of course, as a brand and a business, you want people who can swipe the credit card. So that's the older people you're looking at.
You raised a good point there, though, that, you know, everybody is looking for Instagram influencers and stuff like that. And as you said, clearly, I didn't know that there was a 15-year-old with 14,000 followers, and there's a real opportunity for influencers that aren't on your traditional platforms. You have your Twitch, you have your YouTube, you have your streamers and stuff like that. So would you say that streamers locally are a source of I guess, influencer marketing? Because we spoke about that a couple episodes ago. And I don't think actually anybody spoke about Twitch or live streaming and stuff like that. It was really focused with like YouTube and Instagram. Yeah.
Now here's the problem, right? That's what they're going on. As I said, we're looking at the streamers. We're looking at the people at 20. The majority, if not 80%, are 20 or 18 and younger. So it's hard when dealing with them, because remember, they're still secondary school children. But there are a lot of them. But the problem is, some don't get that viewership. There are a lot of content creators, you know. Now, and I know as a digital person yourself, Robert, you know the difference between a content creator and a streamer. It's not the same thing. So a lot of people are doing content creation, but in terms of streaming, not many local streamers are getting that crossing 5,000 on average and stuff like that. There's usually hundreds. So the more successful local streamers, they might get 200, 300 on average. Some of them is get 40 or 50. So they will get the Twitch affiliated status. They just get that to them. But to say they break mainstream, so I would, like I said, to my knowledge, I have not seen it. I would love to see it. I call a big streamer if again over 1,000 views concurrent, like over time. But I have not seen that yet.
Well, then I'm not a big streamer, because I don't think we ever get more than about 30 at any one time. But we'll get there. We'll keep working. Otis Cornwall was saying, how big is the gaming market in Trinidad and Tobago? So I know that you said that there's two kind of groups. There's the millennials and then there's the Gen Z. But how big would you estimate that size to be?
All right, so let's split it between the competitive gamers and the casual gamers, because we talk about gaming, that's encapsulating everybody. In terms of the competitive gamers, there are over 10,000. There's, I would say, even over 30,000, because recently Flow or Amplia did a research survey, and there is a huge demand, especially with the pandemic. There is a huge demand for gaming gaming level internet where people want minimum 50 upload and $200 on those things. So they are over easy 30,000, 50,000 gamers. In terms of competitive gamers, I can safely say they're in the thousands. Now, some people might laugh and say thousands is not much, but but for a niche market, that is a lot. So we're talking about when people come to events, we're talking about over 20, 30 people per event. And that's with minimal, if not no marketing. That's word of mouth marketing.
So there, I mean, as you said, it's very niche, and you said that they are very loyal. So it might be 1,000 people, but you know, if you can get 1,000 people that love your brand, that keep buying your brand for what you said about 4 years, that's a solid investment.
And that's without investment. So just imagine there was a quarter of injection into that market. So we're talking about proper advertisements. We're talking about radio advertisements, TV, and these even have a little personality here and there. The exposure would go even more, because a lot of people, even in 2020, are not aware about the amount of esports, because people still asking where to go for FIFA tournaments. People still asking where to go for League of Legends and Dota 2. And those are very good questions, you know. Extremely good questions. And only with exposure and reach we'll get there.
Justice Jesse was saying that Dota 2 has at least 5,000 in their community. I mean, definitely there's definitely opportunity. And I think the core thing about, I think what everybody got here is that esports is not just gaming. There's two levels of gamers, the casual ones. So, you know, if you play Candy Crush on a daily basis, you're a gamer, whether you want to class yourself and that or not. And there's that opportunity. And then there's the people who take gaming very seriously, as you said, you know, 3 to 5 hours a day. And they're people too. They swipe credit cards. They swipe a lot of money on games, you know.
They do.
I don't want to go down the whole rabbit hole of like cosmetics for games, because that's a whole other industry. But we're getting a lot of comments here. But essentially, brands, if you're listening out there, gaming in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean has been really underutilized. And as we said, it is the third screen. When people have come off TV, when they've come off Facebook, when they've come off Google and come off YouTube, that's what they do. They've logged out, they're playing, they're being someone else that they can't be in the real world. And facilitating that experience is going to be a very powerful brand affiliation opportunity. So let me just go through some quick questions here. We have Miss Abby K says, too bad school reopened. Now I'm tempted to convince my nephew to take his gaming up a notch. As I said, you know, content creation is great. You know, the more content you create, the better it gets. Just an example like this. I'm on probably episode 19, 20 right now. My first episode looks terrible. I really hate the fact that it is up online now. Pete D. Chris says he just played a game in match day 2 of an online FIFA tournament before joining the live. Yeah, people spend a significant amount of time there, and you can get involved. It doesn't just have to be throwing money at it. And Chunky Wonky is saying, by asking those questions of where do I go to join XYZ community shows the gaps in the demand. Fair point.
Can I answer that question a little bit?
Sure.
Because I know there are a lot of questions and I just want to talk a little bit about the current state of esports in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
Here's the problem, unfortunately. Right before the pandemic hits, esports was going to be legitimized, as in registered, as in working alongside with the government, ministry affiliated. So as in legit. However, when the pandemic literally hit before we could officially do anything, and when the pandemic happened, as we know, all of our resources shifted into health and security. So now, so we don't have a focus on entertainment anymore. So before we had a lot of dispensable income and these kind of things, now we have to shift it into the priorities. So no longer. So unfortunately, where esports would have been a good opportunity for students and children and a good way to mitigate different behaviors and these things. Now it's on the back burner because health and security is to the front.
Definitely, So,
and a lot of businesses also reflect that, because remember, we were shut down for a while and people are now starting to try to catch back to where they were. So the economy is nowhere near where it was before. So because of where the economy is, esports, in terms of offline esports, like actual events, offline esports is on hiatus. So a lot of people are asking what is going on. That's the real reality of it. Right now, it is an extremely serious situation. People aren't looking at entertainment right now. That's not a priority. So until things settle back down,
right,
and people start then we can start looking at here's what's happening, and we can get into them. So that's what's happening in the local esports industry.
I mean, I would argue that that yes. So in terms of like the growth of it as an industry locally, it's definitely on a hiatus. But I definitely think more people are playing games than ever before to escape the sort of like insanity of the world that we live in at the moment.
Well, I can also answer that question. Not to cut you, but like I said, there's been a lot of testing going on because, for example, in partying, people have tried online parties as an alternative sort of doing things. Similar to, yes, right, you see her shake your head there? Yeah. It started off, then it's esports is the same thing. We have tried online tournaments. We have tried paid online tournaments, pay $50 through Cash App or PayPal. We have tried free online tournaments where you're winning a $200 PSN card. And whether it's paid or free, people are not entering. I mean, that's crazy. You enter a free tournament, first place is a 200 PSN card, and you're getting less than 16 people. You know why? People like that offline element. We like to be in the arena. We like to be I want to look at my competitor in the eyes. And because we don't have that, it's not translating to online. So same thing like with the e-parties, on esports is also going through the same struggle where the interest is there. You're right. You were right with the statistic. Other people are playing, but nobody wants to compete seriously because as a gamer, you would understand the online experience is not the same as the offline experience.
Definitely. Chunky Wonky's in. I know a guy who told me today he bought a console and a PC on catch up on games he's missed and to play games with his nephews. Yeah, I mean, every time my nephew comes in the door, he's like, "Are you working? Can you play Smash Bros with me?" And if I can, I will. So, I mean, I think we've made it pretty clear that there is massive opportunity here. As Akil was pointing out, people, they may not be interested in the tournaments right now, but you can facilitate the experience. You can say, hey, test out our brand or enter this competition and win a $50 PSN card, win an Xbox Game Pass, get credits on Steam and stuff like that. Like, people are playing games. They're not just, motivated by or going to see your thing based on, Google and YouTube and stuff like that. So definitely check out, follow Floyd Banks. So, wait, how do they get in touch with you in terms of, finding out more information about if somebody wants to set up a competition or get more information just about like, well, our target audience is this. Where would you suggest we place our money or we invest or how we actually take that first step?
All right, that's a good question. Right now, I would say contact my Facebook page, Paradigm Electronic Gaming, as you can see. There, I would, as you said, once you let me know what you're interested in, even if my company can't supply the service, I will redirect you to someone else who can supply the service because there are other players. I am not the only person. There are lots of other players in this industry. There are people who do events. There are people who provide console setups and these things. There are lots of different people, and the aim is networking. So contact me at Paradigm Electronic Gaming on Facebook, or you can email me paradigmelectronicgaming@gmail.com, and I will be definitely happy to help you in any way as possible. Okay.
Well, I'm just gonna type that in the chat there so that people can grab it. Paradigm Electronic Gaming. I spelled it correctly.
Let's check the charts. Yes, search for us on Facebook. If your email is on Gmail, it's one word. Definitely send a message and we'll see how we can facilitate you as well.
All right.
But if you just want to find out information, that's not a problem also.
Excellent. Okay. Justice Jesse is just asking if I play Smash, not competitively. I am very much a casual gamer, but Akil, thank you very much for your time. This is actually the longest that we've gone on, but was tons of information. I hope people got some real insights here, and will really maybe consider that third screen analogy as a real opportunity that's not been leveraged at the moment. So thank you again, Akil. Everybody, this video is going to be up on the feed in a few minutes, and it'll also be on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe there so I can maybe make $1 one day. All right. Have a good night. Akil, thank you again.
Not a problem.